Hello and welcome back to the Gaming Tech channel, everybody. We're live on YouTube and Twitch, and here we are with our Forza Horizon 5 series. This is our second stream of the day. We finished GTA Vice City earlier, so feel free to check out that playlist. And now we're here with Horizon 5, and looks like we got a seasonal award that we need to redeem. Let's do that. The Hyundai i30N. That's nice.
Welcome back, boss.
So today we don't have any seasonal championships or anything like that. We completed all those yesterday in our yesterday's Forza Horizon stream. So today we're just gonna be taking it easy, just drive around, build some cars, and just have some fun. So let's see what we're gonna be working on today. You know what? Let's just check out that Hyundai. So we have a Veloster that's been converted to rear-wheel drive, and we won a Veloster yesterday, which is still bone stock. But now we have the Hyundai i30N, which is pretty much similar to the Veloster if you look at the specs here. In terms of power and torque, we have a little bit more torque, a little bit less horsepower compared to the Veloster N. And even the weight is pretty similar. Same goes for the weight distribution and your engine displacement. So let's see what the difference is here. Because on paper it seems like a very similar car to the Veloster. I'm not sure if it's automatic or manual, but we'll find out. I see an automatic in there. Okay. This is an automatic. So this might have the 8-speed in it then. The 7 or 8-speed dual clutch. Got the turbo engine. So I'm pretty sure the Veloster is manual from factory. I'm not 100% sure because it's been a while since I've driven that. But this has automatic. Speedo goes all the way up to 300 kilometers, which is 180 miles. So that's not bad for a small little hatch. Oh wow. Makes all the right sounds. Not bad, right? So I believe this is a pretty similar platform compared to the Hyundai Elantra. The Elantra N. Or the Hyundai Kona N. Good torque. Yeah, the shifts happen really fast. And the Speedo kind of looks like the Genesis G70. Or maybe the G70 is based on this Speedo. After all, Hyundai, Genesis, they're pretty much the same thing. And Kia, right? I like the paint on this thing, the color. It's kind of similar to the M2's blue. Well, it's not the same, but it's pretty similar. I like this color. So let's see how this car launches being a front wheel drive. Not bad. I mean, it's not the fastest thing ever, but for what it is, it's pretty good. Gear ratios are pretty solid. They're not too short or too long, they're just right. They keep you in the power band. Let's find out how many gears it has. Only 6? I thought it would have the 8-speed, so it looks like it has the 6-speed only. 6-speed auto. That's surprising. Six-speed auto in a 2020 model? That's weird. Unless it's a dual clutch 6-speed, then that's a different story. I'm pretty sure this is not the torque converter 6-speed. Just based off the shift speed, you know. Shifts really fast. So it almost launches better when you just rev it up all the way instead of doing the traditional launch control. I wonder how this car would perform if we convert it into all-wheel drive. Should we do that? Let's do that. Let's build something unique. I'm pretty sure this is a light car from factory. 3150 pounds, so it's relatively light, you know. Nothing too crazy. So we can get it down to 2600 pounds. Excuse me. So yeah, we can get it down to 2600 pounds. Which is pretty light. And we're not going to do that while it's still front wheel drive because it's not going to be able to put the power down. So let's make it all wheel drive. We have a rear wheel drive Veloster and a factory front wheel drive Veloster. So for this one, let's go with all wheel drive, which will bring a 0 to 60 down to 4.3 from 5.6. Well, 5.6 is pretty respectable for, you know, respectable for front wheel drive. It's not bad at all. But 4.3 is much better. All-wheel drive. So all the all-wheel drive systems are 6-speed anyway. But we are gonna go with the 10-speed. Lighter drive shaft. And a race differential so we can adjust the power distribution between the front and the rear diff. And let's put some better brakes on here. Lower it. And could make it lighter. So any more mods that we do to this car, it's gonna put this car in A class, but I think that's fine. That's totally fine. Let's go all the way light. Make it super light. Chassis reinforcement? No, I don't think we need that. I don't want to make it too stiff either. It's already gonna be pretty stiff from having the race springs and dampers, so just the race brakes and the race weight reduction with the race springs and dampers is good enough. Looks pretty low key, still looks factory. And now let's add some power. So 271 horsepower, 279 foot-pounds of torque is pretty good for a 2-liter turbo. Sounds pretty good. So we'll do the exhaust and maybe an upgraded turbo. So this car only gains 35 extra horse from an upgraded turbo, which is not a lot for an upgraded turbo. Okay, I'm not doing that. No, that's gonna get annoying. I mean, I do that on like very few cars. The anti-lag turbo. Just the race turbo is gonna be fine. And we'll do intake as well. Intake, exhaust, upgraded turbo, and a lighter flywheel. Nothing else for now. We'll do tires. Let's do slick race tires so it can handle well. Give it the maximum amount of grip without adding any downforce. I'm trying to keep this car in A class. Make the track wider? Yeah, let's do that. It would handle a little better. And it looks, you know, much better with the tires being flush with the fenders. We're not making the tires wider. Oh no, that's the wheel. Yeah, we're not making that wider. We're gonna just rock the 235s all around. Because we have all-wheel drive and we're not running that much power anyway. So this is our setup here. Pretty moderate setup. So it's gonna go from a B class to a top of A class car. You know, 50 extra horse, around that, 500 less pounds of weight. So all-wheel drive, more grippier tires, better transmission. I think it would do a lot better now. Sounds aggressive. Yeah, we have like 55 extra horsepower, which is pretty good. Nothing too crazy, but the less weight's really gonna matter. Let's do a launch now. It's spicy now. For having less than 350 horsepower, this thing is actually pretty good. I think we should make the ratios a little longer. Because after all, this is a turbo car and it doesn't make all this power at the peak. So it would benefit from having a little longer ratios. There we go. 0 to 60 time improved. 0 to 100 improved. Can we go even longer? Let's see how this feels. This is pretty long, but it might feel better. This is more like it. This is a lot more like it. This feels like a Golf R now. Like a tuned Golf R. With some weight reduction. It almost feels better than the Golf R because it's so much lighter. I can tell that it's sending a lot of the power to the front. Let's see what the differential is doing. Actually, no. It's sending 60% to the rear. That's not bad. What if we do 70 to the rear? So it did not hurt the 0 to 60 or 0 to 100, but it might feel a lot different now. Right off the bat, I can tell there's less understeer. There's almost no understeer now. Wow, it turns really nicely under power. That's full throttle. Wow. So it looks like you can have a lot of fun in a 330 horsepower car as long as, you know, the weight is low. If the car is around 2,600 pounds and you have, you know, 330, 350 horsepower, that's a pretty solid combo. Just for reference, let's compare it to a stock Mustang GT. I think I have one of those here. So yeah, right here. 460 horsepower, but 3,700 pounds. So it's almost 1,000 pounds heavier, but it has a little over 120 horsepower extra. Yeah, somewhere around that. So extra 120, 100 something horsepower, extra 100, you know, 120 something foot-pounds of torque. Rear-wheel drive, but extra 1,000 pounds of weight. So let's see how that feels compared to a 2,600 pound, 330 horsepower car. So yeah, 130 extra horse, 120 something extra foot-pounds of torque. Bone stock, you know, there are no mods done to it. But 1,000 pounds lighter. I mean heavier. 1,000 pounds heavier. So I believe this is a manual. Yup, it's a 6-speed manual. Again, we're not comparing the sound. I know, we all know that this car sounds better with the V8. 5-liter Coyote. We got 4 cams in this thing. Dual overhead cam V8. 32 valve. Honestly, in terms of acceleration, it feels really similar. This does have more raw power, you know, better throttle response because, you know, it's naturally aspirated. But in terms of like how it handles, I would say you can feel the weight. Even though the acceleration is really similar because of the power to weight ratio, you can definitely feel the weight. Yeah, like right there on the corner, under power, you can tell that this is a heavier car. Even though in terms of speed and acceleration, it's very similar. But the way it carries itself is a lot different. So I think having a lighter car with less horsepower might be the way to go, instead of having a car that's heavier with more horsepower. Yeah, we're not comparing the sound, we're not comparing the transmission. I'm just trying to compare the feel.
Arrived early.
Again, these are both really different cars, right? There is no real world comparison, but all we can compare here is just the feel. How they feel on the road, how they feel around a corner. Of course, with the rear-wheel drive platform, you can drift it around. Can't really do that with all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. Like right there, when I was trying to turn around that car that was turning left, you could tell that I'm trying to maneuver a really heavy car. And now let's switch to something that's rear-wheel drive and lighter. like this M2. 2,900 pounds, so again, still like 700 pounds lighter than the Mustang because it has weight reduction done to it. Otherwise, if this car was fully stock, it would be much heavier. So I think this might feel the best. You got rear-wheel drive, light platform because, you know, we have weight reduction done to it, and mods to make the engine faster. Make the car faster because the engine has more power.
Round one is a go! Show those pinatas what they're made of!
It's pit
Alright, let me
Time out!
turn this
Round
event
one
off.
failed.
in the octopop. Just avoid the prickly ones. Trust me. Won't hurt.
I think this is the best middle ground. Lots of power. More power than the Mustang. But a lighter, smaller, more nimble chassis. Yeah, you can really throw this thing around. Of course, you can modify the Mustang and get it to feel like this M2. That's not a question. But we were just trying to compare a heavier car with more horsepower and a lighter car with less horsepower. And the lighter car with less horsepower just feels a little bit better. This does not have the drift suspension or the drift tires. Alright, let's switch to something else now. Something different. Maybe a bone stock car that we can build. Just like the first one that we built. What should we work on? Let's see. Let's build this. Because it's in D class. It could use some love. Or maybe the GTO. Yeah. GTO is a little cooler. It's got more muscle. Well, this is a pretty cool car itself. But yeah, let's build the 1965 GTO. So this is a 5.7. GTO is a 6.3. Almost a 6.4. So it's a bigger block. Makes more horsepower and more torque. And weighs less. Yeah, GTO is kind of cool. Let's build a GTO. Alright, this is our first time with the GTO. Let's see how I drive stock first. I like how it looks. Got a long hood, a long trunk. It's a long car, man. It's a freaking boat. Yeah, it's really geared for the quarter mile. You got short gearing. Look how loose the suspension is. It lifts up right when we tap on the gas. Lifts up from the front, squats in from the back. Well, it has so much torque that I can do a rolling burnout in first gear. Not really a rolling burnout, but, you know, chirp the tires. Lots of body roll. That's to be expected in a car from 1965. Totally normal. Okay, let's build this car now. So, I don't know how I'm gonna build it, but let's build it different than how we usually do. So, we can add force induction, all-wheel drive. I'm not gonna do that on this car. We're gonna keep it rear-wheel drive. Let's look at the power plants. So, we got the 6.4. The stock 6.4. The 6.2 LS3. The 6.7 V8 turbo diesel. Wow, this really shakes the car. The Viper engine. I think I'm just gonna keep a V8 in here. Nope, not a V12. The 6.9 liter V8 supercharged. Wow, this is really gonna twist the chassis, man. .8 liters. That's big. Bigger than the Viper motor. Well, 8.9, right? So 8.9. How should we do this? I kind of want to just keep it naturally aspirated. I don't want to add force induction to it. Let's see what the stock engine can produce if you just max it out. So we have 360 horse, 424 torque. Let's try to keep it original. The race cams are really gonna wake this engine up. It's chopping on idle now. That sounds so good. That's music, man. Okay, let's keep on working on this thing. So we're gonna get the block up to 7 liters. Nice. Those are some good numbers. I like it. 522 horse, 531 torque, a fully built NA motor. So we're gonna do weight reduction and we're gonna reinforce the chassis because this is an older car and it could use all that reinforcement to make it more rigid. Maybe not a full cage. Yeah, not a full cage. I know the full cage is gonna make it really solid, but I don't like the way it looks. We're not trying to convert this into a drag car. I kind of don't want to lower it. Looks cool. I don't know. It looks cool lowered. Oh, that looks really cool slammed. But again, we're not converting this into a drift car. Okay, I'm gonna leave it the stock height. Yeah, I like the way it looks stock. Since it's gonna be loose, you know, because the suspension is pretty soft, the most we can do to stiffen it up is the anti-roll bars to mitigate the roll and reinforcement. So yeah, that's about it. I'm not gonna lower the car. We will put better brakes on it though. I wanted to kind of handle like an old school car, but handle a little bit better than, you know, what it was doing before. So we're not gonna just max everything out here. Better clutch. I'm not putting this race transmission in here because I want it to feel old school. So we're just gonna go with sport transmission. Lighter drive shaft and a race differential. Yeah, we don't want an automatic in here. No way. When it comes to tires, I'm thinking we should go with the vintage tires. The vintage white walls. Not the vintage race tires because those are gonna give us like pretty decent grip. I wanted to kind of stay old school while, you know, perform a little better than factory. So let's go with the vintage white walls. And yeah, we are gonna put a wide tire on the back. Oh wait, that's the wrong section right here. 295s on the rear. Perfect. That's pretty good for a 500 horsepower car. 275 up front and 295 on the rear. I like that. We'll make the rear stick out a little bit. Yeah, it's not flush with the car, and that's totally fine. It doesn't need to be flush. And I'm gonna leave the stock wheels on it. I want it to look factory, but OEM plus. Hey, what's up? Thanks for joining. And we don't want no arrow on it. We're good. Oh, that's cool, but we're not supercharging the car. We're keeping it NA, so no supercharger sticking out the hood. And that's it. This is gonna be the setup. We're keeping it pretty chill. A nice conservative setup, you know. Nothing too crazy. Still gonna perform like an old school car, but better. We got the original engine, all NA, but with full bolt-ons, all the mods they can throw on it. We didn't put a automatic transmission in here, and we also kept the stock suspension but added some reinforcement and some anti-roll bars. We kept it old school. We pretty much modified this car how you would back in 1965. The car still like jolts a little bit when you shift gears, so it did not lose its character. And instead of a 4-speed, we got 5-speed manual now. Not a 6-speed auto. It's still original. Look at that. Look at all that suspension travel because, you know, we're still on the stock ride height. But it rides so much better. So we got rid of the body roll, but we didn't get rid of all that softness. It's still a soft suspension. Handles pretty nicely. That's real nice. It still does a little nose dive when you brake. I kind of like that. So I'm gonna make the gearing a little shorter. So I don't want it to go up to 189 miles. Let's go with the 355. 355 rear end. I think that's gonna feel much better. Oh yeah. Now we'll be able to utilize 5th gear easily. Listen to that motor chop. Tell me about your build. Yeah, go ahead. I'm just responding to one of the chat on Twitch here. All right, we're done with this build. Now let's switch to something fast. And you might have guessed or not, but it's gonna be the 1800 horsepower Mustang, the 1876 horsepower Mustang. This thing is a freaking rocket. All right, we're gonna take this thing on the highway and see if anybody wants to do some rolls or digs. Bead locks on the front and back. That's crazy, man. I wonder what this car does on the strip. Look at this dude changing his car. Let's see what he pulls up with. Couple of homies racing. Oh, dude, this car? Nice, I have that too. But here's the thing. That car is only 1400 horsepower, where the one I'm in is 1800. Almost 1900. Honk it off, bro. He just left the highway. That's crazy. Bro did not want no smoke. This car launches like a bat out of hell, man. That launch was so good. Alright, we'll do one more. I love this car, man. Why is it so good? There goes the speed camera. Yeah, having a driver mod also matters, you know. If you don't have the tune right and if you don't know how to drive your car, you can easily lose a race. What's bro doing in Colorado? Come on, bro, this is Forza. This dude's ready to go camping. Unless he has the 1500 horsepower engine in there. He's switching his car. I thought he wanted to do a roll. Nah, bro's really going camping. He's like, I'm out. You know what? I think I should head to the drag strip. I might find more people there willing to race. I'll turn around up there. I see some people down there. Yeah, that's right. That spot is usually booming. That's a nice looking car, bro. You got the same wheels as me? No way. This
You've
dude.
just been challenged to a head-to-head.
I'm not doing head-to-head. I'll race you like this without the head-to-head. Those head-to-heads are weird. I'll do a proper, you know, dig from third honk.
You've just been challenged to a head-to-head.
No, buddy. Let's race like this without the head-to-head. Honk it off.
You've just been challenged to a
Nah,
head-to-head.
I don't like those head-to-heads. They never start evenly. Let's go on the third honk, man. Don't be like that. Honk it off, buddy. Maybe the third dude will honk it off. Why doesn't he want to honk it off? Should I do it? Bye. Bros were sleeping. That was a bad reaction time, bro. He had a better initial launch. Like his 64 was better. Another RTR. Oh, that's the Dark Horse. Took him to Gapplebee's. That Dark Horse looks nice. Wow, they left before me? Cheaters! They left at like the starting of the second honk. Wow, they love cheating. Alright, I see, I see. Since you guys love cheating. You guys love cheating, eh? I can leave on the first honk too, buddy. But I decided not to. Let me see what the 0 to 60 is on this car. I'm pretty sure it's fast. 1.3. The 0 to 60 is only 1.3 on this car. Alright, any more of you cheaters want to race? Dude's been leaving on the first honk, man. This is funny. Like, I get it, you don't want to lose, but don't be like that. You can do better than that. Nobody wants to race anymore? Alright, you know what? Let's switch to a drift car and drift around for a little bit. The Formula Drift. Or should I switch to one of my own drift cars? I don't know. Let's switch to a Formula Drift one. Because we have a bunch now. Let's go with 370Z, because why not? Something different. Alright, I'm just gonna check something here real quick. I'll be right back. The stream is still gonna be running, but the screen's gonna go dark. You won't be able to see anything. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Oh, this thing's shooting flames out the hood? You got a hood exit exhaust? I actually didn't know that. Wow. So the wheelbase on this car is not long. It's good for like, you know, drifting tight turns, but I'm actually looking for a different type of build here. Like this right here, the 2012 M5 with the drift setup. I just like the way this car drifts with the long wheelbase. Alright, let's switch the car here. Another drift build? This is actually a pretty decent drift car. Doesn't look like one, but it's not bad. Oh. Damn. Oh, we got wheel spins. Let's check them out. Crazy. Alright, time to change the car. So what's the difference between a 718 Cayman GTS and just a Cayman GTS? Oh, I see the difference. So this right here is a 4-cylinder boxer engine. And I know that because I've done my research on this car. And this one right here doesn't seem like a 4-cylinder. This is a bigger engine, 3.4 liter, almost 3.5. So this has to be a flat 6, where this is a flat 4. I was honestly pretty shocked when I found out that this car is a flat 4, like your, Subaru engine. But I guess that's the difference between a 718 Cayman and a non-718 Cayman. Well, this one is not stock, as you can see. Wait, is it stock? Or is it not stock? Alright, this one is not stock, so these are the same color. So this one is the same car, but we have, every mod done to it. But it's still the factory 4-cylinder engine. Where this, right off the bat, you can tell by the displacement, is much larger. And this car is a little older, 3 years older than the other one. That was 2018, this is 2015. So this is the non-718 Cayman GTS. Yeah, I actually didn't know that you can get this car like in a bunch of different options for the engines. I believe the GT 3 or RS, something like that. Not the GT3 RS, not the 911, but there's a variant of this car that comes with that GT3 RS engine. I'm not sure what it's called though. Not bad. Handles pretty good. I like it. You got the good old analog gauges. And we have some active aero at the back. That's nice. Alright, let me just switch to the stock 718 Cayman. I just want to double check the engine sound. I know it's going to be different, but I just want to see how much different it actually is. .718 Cayman. Oh yeah, there's a big difference. Yep, you can hear the turbo. The engine is much more muffled compared to the non-718. You can tell right away that you're driving something else. I mean, it's the same car, but feels so much more different. It still likes to rev, even though it's a turbo. But being a force induction car, I can kind of feel the turbo lag. The acceleration is like not instant. There's a slight delay. It just has to build boost and then it goes. Where the naturally aspirated flat 6 just, you know, has instant acceleration. Yeah, this barely has any exhaust sound. Alright, maybe in the next session we'll build the non-718 Cayman GTS. But for this one, I think we're going to call it a night here. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.